Chosen one, there are moments when heaven speaks, and it doesn't whisper. It doesn't ask politely. It doesn't repeat itself endlessly. It speaks with urgency, with fire, with intention. And when that voice reaches your soul, when you feel it not just in your mind, but in your bones, that's when you know this is not a suggestion. This is a spiritual command. This is not just a message to consider later. This is a now word. Chosen one, that's what you've received. That's what this is. A divine push that won't let you sleep. A warning wrapped in clarity. A holy pressure urging you to move before delay turns into disobedience. God has already shown you the signs. You've seen the patterns shift. You've felt the energy change. You've noticed the discomfort rising. It's not random. It's not paranoia. It's not imagination. It's a spiritual signal, a divine interruption. And it's not meant to scare you. It's meant to protect you. Because what's ahead requires your obedience now, not later. You can't afford to wait until it's obvious to everyone else. You're being called to move while others are still doubting, to walk away while others are settling in, to shift while others are still standing still. If you're watching this right now, understand this is not by accident. The reason you were drawn to this message, to this moment, is because something deep in your spirit already knows. God's been warning you, softly at first, then stronger, then more persistent. You've seen the red flags, you've felt the tightness in your chest. You've had the dreams, the sudden losses, the people who vanished, the opportunities that disappeared as fast as they arrived. That wasn't rejection. That wasn't confusion. That was a divine hand pulling you out of danger before the danger could fully manifest. And now, as you're watching this, you're being called to do something most people never do. Trust the warning before the storm comes. Trust the direction before the consequence becomes visible. Trust the whisper before it becomes a thunderclap. This is a divine moment of grace, of mercy, of strategy, and of power. Because when God warns a chosen one, it means two things. Something is about to shift, and you're meant to survive it. Before we go further, fully receive this message. Watch it until the end, not just with your ears, but with your spirit. Let it shake something loose inside of you. And if it resonates, if it confirms what you've already been sensing, write your warmest wishes and 144 in the comments below. Not just as a ritual, but as a declaration that you are awake, aligned, and ready to move. That your energy is rising, that your vibration is preparing for breakthrough. Because this is not just a warning, it is a doorway. Now, chosen one, show your light by liking this video and subscribe to the channel, and let's step into this together. Chosen one, let's be real. You've felt this building for a while. That discomfort when you're around certain people. That lack of peace in environments you used to enjoy. The way your body tenses in places that used to feel safe. The way your dreams have been heavy, prophetic, restless. That's not coincidence. That's spiritual communication. God doesn't always speak in words. He speaks through atmosphere. And when the atmosphere starts to choke your spirit, when the place that once felt like home starts to feel like prison, that's your cue to leave, to shift, to obey. You've been trying to rationalize it, trying to make it logical. But this is not a logical call. It's a spiritual one. And spiritual warnings don't always make sense to your natural mind. Because your spirit is seeing something ahead that your eyes haven't yet. God sees what you can't. He sees what's brewing in secret. He sees the trap being built behind the smile, the chaos hiding behind the offer, the delay hiding in the distraction. And because He loves you, He's calling you out before it locks you in. This is not the time to ask for opinions. This is not the time to seek validation. This is the time to move. You don't need a conference call when God already gave you a confirmation. You don't need a sign in the sky when you already got the signal in your soul. This is the moment where obedience becomes your shield, where speed becomes your safety, and where movement becomes your miracle. Some people wait too long. They ignore the nudge. They dismiss the tension. They stay one season too many, and that delay becomes their downfall. That won't be you. Not this time. You've missed it before. Yes, you've hesitated before. True. But this time, something's different. You feel the urgency. You feel the countdown in your spirit. And that's because you're not just being told to move. You're being positioned. The next thing God wants to do through you requires separation. It requires distance. It requires silence from the noise around you. That's why people are falling away. That's why certain relationships are crumbling without your effort. That's why conversations feel hollow. Because heaven is shutting down distractions, not to hurt you, but to hide you, to preserve the oil, to protect the assignment. Because what's ahead cannot be contaminated. And let's talk about the discomfort. That restlessness you feel? That's not depression. That's not boredom. That's your spirit outgrowing the space. That's your destiny demanding a relocation. When God warns you, it's not always with lightning. It's often with a loss of peace. And when peace leaves, don't chase what it left. Follow where it went. Your peace has already moved. Your spirit already shifted. Now your body has to catch up. Don't ignore the pattern. Don't spiritualize what you're supposed to walk away from. Don't call endurance what God is calling exit. There's a difference between spiritual warfare and divine redirection. Not every battle is meant to be fought. Some are meant to be avoided. Some places are not testing you. They're trapping you. And the warning is your way out. This is why everything feels louder right now. The signs, the tension, the timing. Because your life is approaching a spiritual intersection, and one wrong turn could delay you a year. One misstep could rewrite the entire journey. That's why the warning is so sharp, so relentless. Because God doesn't want you to survive the trap. He wants you to miss it entirely. Your future is calling, but it won't wait forever. Heaven is moving now. And if you don't move with it, you'll be left watching from behind as doors close without you. That's not fear. That's truth. God is not punishing you with urgency. He's preparing you with it. Because something is about to shift. And you must be in position before it happens, not during, before. You see, there are blessings that can only be received on the other side of obedience. There are open doors that only respond to movement. And while the world teaches you to wait until everything makes sense, God calls you to move while it's still unclear. Because faith doesn't follow confirmation. Faith activates it. You've already seen the signs. The environment around you has grown tight, uncomfortable, suffocating. It's not because you've done something wrong. It's because you no longer belong there. What once fed you now frustrates you. What once excited you now exhausts you. That is not confusion. That is clarity. The problem is, many chosen ones confuse spiritual discomfort with punishment. But this isn't punishment. It's promotion in disguise. A disruption wrapped in divine timing. A whisper that becomes a roar when ignored. You've asked God to show you the path. But chosen one, the truth is, He already has. That dream you had, that gut feeling, that closed door that forced you to reconsider your next move, those weren't coincidences. They were divine signals. And every time you ignored them, the pressure grew. Every time you stayed in a room that was shrinking, the atmosphere turned against you. That's the mercy of God. It will push you out before you destroy yourself trying to stay. And now, we're here, at the edge of something sacred, something irreversible. You feel it, don't you? The air has shifted, your thoughts have changed, your hunger for truth has deepened. You're not interested in fitting in anymore. You're not chasing applause. You're not asking for permission. You're simply ready. Ready to release the delay, ready to break the cycle, ready to stop explaining yourself to people who were never meant to understand your calling in the first place. This is not just a message, it's an invitation, an instruction, a gate-opening moment. And it's asking you this: will you move while it still doesn't make sense? Or will you wait until the urgency passes and the window closes? Because every warning has a shelf life. Every divine nudge has a timestamp. And obedience delayed becomes obedience denied. Your breakthrough is not being withheld. It's being guarded. Guarded by divine timing. Guarded by spiritual discernment. And the only key to access it is movement. Not perfection. Not understanding. Movement. It doesn't matter if you don't have the full map. It only matters that you take the next step. That you stop waiting for consensus. That you stop asking people who never heard your instruction to confirm your direction. God warned you not to keep you in fear, but to keep you in freedom. And that freedom is found in motion. In saying yes before the world validates your choice. In leaving behind what is good enough in pursuit of what is God enough. You've been playing small. You've been rationalizing your delay. You've been saying things like, maybe later, or when I have more clarity. But clarity doesn't always come before the movement. Sometimes it follows it. This is your moment to act, not to wait, not to overthink, but to act. To leave the job, even if you're not sure where the next paycheck will come from. To walk away from that connection, even if you feel alone for a while. To say no, even if you're scared of the fallout. To say yes, even if your voice shakes. Because on the other side of that trembling step is divine alignment, divine provision, divine acceleration. Yes, acceleration. You're not going to crawl into this next season. You're going to leap into it. But the leap requires trust, not just in God, but in the version of you that He sees, the version that is no longer bound by cycles, no longer tied to environments that stifle your growth, no longer begging for clarity from people who operate in confusion. You are not being called to explain yourself. You are being called to elevate yourself. And with elevation comes shedding. Shedding of people, of mindsets, of habits, of distractions. You can't fly with weights around your ankles. You can't soar with opinions holding you hostage. That's why the warnings have increased. Because time is thinning. The ground is rumbling. The doors are unlocking. But only for the ones in position. and position requires motion. Don't wait for comfort. It's not coming. Don't wait for applause. You might not get it. Don't wait for certainty. It's not a requirement for obedience. What's required is willingness. And chosen one, you've got that. You wouldn't be reading these words if you didn't. You wouldn't be feeling this fire in your chest if you weren't ready. You wouldn't be trembling with this strange mixture of fear and excitement if your spirit hadn't already decided, it's time. This next chapter won't be defined by who believes in you. It will be defined by who you believe in. And that starts with God. But it also includes you. Believe that what you heard was real. Believe that the signal was sacred. Believe that the warning wasn't just emotional. It was eternal. And now, the clock has started. The opportunity is open. But it won't stay that way forever. Some people won't understand your movement. They'll say you've changed, that you're being reckless, that you're abandoning logic. Let them talk. Let them watch. Because soon, they won't be able to deny what God does through you. The fruit will speak, the favor will follow, and the warning will make sense in hindsight. But for now, move, while it's still unclear, while it's still risky, while it still takes faith. Because chosen one, when God warns you, it's love disguised as urgency. It's heaven pulling you into your miracle before the moment passes. Don't just feel the call, answer it. There's a spiritual cost to ignoring divine instruction. Not because God is punishing you, but because your spirit starts to carry what your soul was never meant to hold. Confusion, delay, frustration. These are often not signs of failure, but of hesitation. You know what you're supposed to do. You feel it deep in your bones. And yet, fear whispers louder than faith. That's when the weight settles in, not because God withdrew, but because you refused to move. Chosen one, this is the season where hesitation is expensive, where delay can cost you open doors. Not because God is cruel, but because His instructions are precise. When He tells you to move, it's because timing is aligned. The environment, the people, the energy, all of it has reached a divine intersection. But those intersections don't last forever. They pass. And if you don't move when prompted, you'll miss what was tailored for you. Some people spend years trying to recover what they were warned to leave behind. They cry over closed doors, not realizing the door didn't close out of punishment. It closed because they didn't walk through it when it was open. That's not your portion. That's not your story. That's why this word is hitting you with such power. Because your spirit knows this is the window. This is the turn. This is the moment where everything shifts if you just obey. And obedience in this hour doesn't look like noise. It looks like clarity. It looks like silence. It looks like letting go without an argument, leaving quietly, shifting privately, disengaging without the need to be understood. Because sometimes the loudest move is stillness with direction. You don't need to announce what you're doing, you just need to do it. Some of you are waiting for a sign bigger than the one you've already received. But what if the warning wasn't meant to be loud? What if the silence was the sign? The disconnection? The disinterest? The sudden resistance in the very place you once called comfortable? What if the loss of energy wasn't burnout, but divine rejection? What if God isn't asking you to fight anymore because He already ended the assignment? You've been warned because something in your life is no longer in alignment with where you're going. That job, that relationship, that city, that mindset, it served a purpose. But the purpose has expired. And the danger of staying is not just spiritual stagnation, it's spiritual contamination. Because staying in expired seasons rots the very gifts you were given to carry forward. The enemy doesn't always attack you through trauma. Sometimes he attacks you through comfort, through familiarity, through staying just a little too long, where you should have already left. And the truth is, you already feel it. You're tired, not just physically, but spiritually. And the warning isn't here to drain you further. It's here to wake you up, to shake you out of complacency, to snap you out of the illusion that this is all there is. It's not. There is more. There is higher. There is next. But next can't be accessed while you're still holding on to what God already told you to release. Let go. Let go of the need to make it make sense. Let go of the pressure to be perfect. Let go of the idea that you have to know the whole plan before you take the first step. God didn't call you to be perfect. He called you to be positioned. And position only comes from motion, from trust, from letting the warning guide you instead of paralyze you. The reason you've been warned so strongly is because of what's on the other side. You're not walking toward emptiness. You're walking toward establishment, toward alignment, toward divine territory. And the enemy knows it. That's why the distractions increased. That's why the resistance intensified. That's why the people you thought would never leave suddenly vanished. They weren't sent to go with you. They were sent to show you that you can go without them. There's something sacred about being called alone. Not because you'll always be alone, but because God wants you to hear Him first. Before the noise, before the applause, before the external voices start competing for your attention. He's warning you now so that when the storm hits, you're already positioned, already prepared, already planted in the right space, with the right focus, carrying the right frequency. This next move you're being called to make? It's not for show. It's not for people. It's for God. It's for destiny. And you don't have to explain it to anyone who doesn't understand. They weren't given the dream. They weren't given the signal. You were. And what was whispered to you in secret is now roaring through every corner of your life. Move now, not later. Not next week. Now. Move even if you're scared. Move even if you're unsure. Move even if it doesn't look like success right away. Because the move isn't about immediate comfort. It's about long-term obedience, long-term growth, long-term favor. And when you move with heaven, you never walk alone. The same God who warned you is the God who will walk with you. This is a defining moment. One of those rare points in time where your spirit says, "Something is shifting and I must go." Don't question that voice. Don't muffle it. Don't distract yourself out of movement. Listen, lean in, and then act. You're not just being warned, you're being invited. Invited to a higher level, a deeper space, a new room that was prepared for you long before you even asked. So the question is not, is this real? You already know it is. The question is, will you move before the door shuts? Because, chosen one, this door isn't going to stay open forever. And this warning won't be repeated. It's clear, it's holy, and it's now. There's a reason the atmosphere around you has grown still, not silent in peace, but still in suspense. It's as if the air itself is holding its breath, waiting on you to decide. Because your next move isn't just about you. It's about everything connected to you. Your lineage, your legacy, your impact. Your obedience is carrying weight beyond what you can currently see, and the realm of the Spirit knows it. This is why the delay feels heavier now. Not because time is against you, but because the window is narrowing. The longer you hesitate, the more friction you feel. The more uneasy your spirit becomes. That's not a sign to ignore, it's a sign to act. Because spiritual timing doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It aligns with the moment you're willing to trust. And chosen one, whether you feel it or not, you're ready. You've been trained in fire, shaped in silence, refined in rejection. You've faced rooms that tried to break you and came out stronger. You've survived spiritual warfare that would have crushed someone with a lesser mantle. And now, after all that refining, God says, move. You've reached a point where your assignment can no longer stay hidden behind delay. The calling has outgrown the hesitation. The warning has evolved into instruction. And now, what used to be gentle nudges has become a divine push. A push into discomfort. A push into unfamiliar places. A push into your real life. Yes, this will cost you comfort. But comfort is the enemy of calling. No chosen one was ever called to stay still. You are a builder, a pathmaker, a generational breaker. You don't just walk into destiny, you build bridges for others to follow. And that kind of responsibility requires urgency, precision, and above all, movement. The question now is simple. Will you trust what your spirit knows before your mind understands? Because what's happening around you is not logical. It's prophetic. It's spiritual. God is collapsing things that were never meant to sustain you. He's removing people who can't go where you're headed. He's closing doors you prayed to keep open because He knows what's behind them better than you ever could. And this is where faith becomes your compass. Not faith that everything will go as planned, but faith that God's plan is better than yours. Faith that His warning is not a detour, but divine alignment. Faith that this disruption is actually a doorway. Let go of the idea that obedience will feel easy, that it will always come with applause, that people will cheer for your spiritual decisions. Some people are going to fall off, not because you're doing something wrong, but because your frequency has shifted. And when your frequency rises, everything not aligned will fall away. Don't grieve that fall. It's sacred. It's a sign that you're no longer where you were. You're being elevated. And when elevation comes, so does separation. Not because you're better than anyone, but because your path is different. Your responsibility is heavier. You hear differently. You sense things others overlook. You are wired for divine disruption. That's why the warning doesn't come to everyone. It comes to you. You're the one who dreams at night and wakes up knowing something is off. You're the one who walks into a room and immediately senses who carries truth and who carries deceit. You're the one who feels heaven tugging on your heart, while others are lost in comfort. That's the cost of being chosen, the weight of being called. And now, the calling is louder than ever. No more distractions, no more emotional loops, no more overthinking. The spiritual sirens are blaring, and heaven is releasing the instruction, move now. And when you move, things will not fall apart. They will fall into place. What looked like loss will become leverage. What looked like confusion will turn to clarity. The moment you choose obedience over comfort, the entire spiritual realm will respond. Doors will open. Provision will flow. Strategy will download. Because heaven funds the move, that heaven commands. Don't look back. Don't try to return to what felt safe. The warning wasn't given for nostalgia. It was given for navigation. You've circled that mountain long enough. You've begged for signs when your spirit already gave you confirmation. This is the moment you stop repeating and start releasing. The new space you've been praying for, it's on the other side of that step. God is not waiting to test your strength. He's calling forth your yes. A yes in motion. A yes that walks even while trembling. A yes that says, I don't know what's ahead, but I know who called me. Let this warning be your signal, your release, your permission to go forward without explanation. You don't owe anyone a justification for obeying God. When your spirit is aligned, your steps are protected. Your timing is covered. Your outcome is already ordained. Move while the door is open. Move while the way is clear. Move while heaven is saying now. Because what's coming next will not wait on your hesitation. And you do not want to miss what was divinely prepared for your next level. Every chosen one faces a defining moment, where the comfort of the past collides with the urgency of the future. That's the moment you're standing in now. It's not that you don't know what to do, it's that the weight of the call feels heavier than the steps you're being asked to take. But that weight you feel, it's not meant to crush you, it's meant to wake you, because the warning you've received is not about something small. It's about a shift so large, so strategic, that if you don't move now, you'll risk burying your destiny beneath fear. This is the place where many delay their future, not because they're incapable, but because they're still seeking confirmation from the wrong voices. Chosen one, you must understand this. Divine instructions are not always crowd-approved. And what God whispered to your spirit wasn't meant to be understood by the masses. That's why you feel isolated. That's why this move feels so personal. Because it is. Heaven didn't address the group. It called you by name. You are not being guided by logic right now. You're being led by divine urgency. And it's not just about escaping danger. It's about aligning with your assignment. The assignment you've been prepared for in silence, in rejection, in waiting, in stillness. God didn't waste a single tear, a single delay, or a single detour. Every moment was preparation. Every heartbreak was pruning. Every closed door was redirection. And now, your next season is waiting, not on more answers, but on your action. You are the final piece. Your movement is the activation key. It's what unlocks the protection, the provision, and the progress that has been hovering around you, waiting to manifest. But it will not descend into a place of disobedience. You can't pull heaven into rebellion. You must rise to meet the frequency of obedience. Understand this. The longer you stay where you don't belong, the more spiritually expensive it becomes. You begin to pay with your peace, your energy, your time, your clarity. And eventually, if you ignore the warning long enough, even your vision begins to fade. You start accepting cycles you were born to break. You normalize dysfunction you were called to end. And you start shrinking to fit a room you were actually sent to exit. But here's the good news. You still have time. You still have the window. And you are still covered. Why? Because you're here, reading this, feeling this, being stirred by this. That's proof that heaven has not given up on your obedience. And if you move now, you can still walk through the door with your favor intact, your grace extended, your next phase activated. You don't need perfect faith. You just need pure obedience. Don't confuse readiness with perfection. You'll never feel fully ready for a spiritual leap. That's the point. It's not about your readiness, it's about your response. God already equipped you. He already tested you in secret. And now, He's watching for one thing. Will you trust Him enough to move without knowing the whole plan? This is the moment to go. To cut ties that have become spiritual anchors. To walk away from what's comfortable but corrosive. To say yes to the unknown with nothing but a whisper from heaven guiding you forward. That whisper is enough. That warning is enough. You don't need more proof. You are the proof. You've already survived what was meant to destroy you. Now it's time to walk in what you were saved for. Yes, the old version of you would have hesitated. That version needed more signs, more support, more clarity. But you've grown. You've evolved. That version had to fight to be seen. This version is called to stand. That version needed validation. This version walks in confirmation. You've outgrown the masks, the coping mechanisms, the cycles, and the harvest is the proof. The blessing isn't the end goal. It's the byproduct of who you've become. And now, you're not just answering the call, you are the call fulfilled in motion.